Hey guys, what I wanted to do today, first off, was just come out. It's a nice day. I wanted to come out and do some hiking, get some exercise, and so I thought, I'll just come out and I'm gonna bring all my gear that I used for deer hunting this year, and I'm gonna go ahead and break it down and detail it for you guys. Kind of give my final thoughts on a lot of it and what I found that worked, and hopefully that'll help the rest of you. Give you some ideas at least, maybe something to try, something to help out in your hunting or other outdoor adventures. Before I start breaking everything down, I kind of want you guys to see roughly what my pack system looks like when it's all put together. Um, Here I've got enough equipment and supplies for 3 days. I come out here and stay for 3 days pretty easily. Probably water is going to be my biggest limiting factor. Basically, what I've got here is a multiple Hill People gear components put together to kind of make a system. It's a Decker Packframe with their Decker pocket. It's here. Their pack bucket and their line pocket attached. And then up at the top, and I'll take all this apart and show it a little easier, but this is their butt pack, and I'm using it more as a lid on my pack versus a butt pack. But the cool thing is their hip belt is easily removed, and this can be attached to that hip belt, and then you can have water. Basically, you can have all the stuff that's on your hip belt plus a butt pack should you decide that you want to do that. I think that's a neat option. I haven't used it that much, but I could definitely see potential for it. And then up here, I've got a 35-liter dry bag. And the reason I've got it configured this way as opposed to just one big pack is I like to be able to break down my equipment based off what I need to do. And so the plan for this, my strategy was essentially hike in to a remote area, set up essentially a base camp, and then hunt from there. And so everything in this orange bag is that base camp. That's my sleep system, shelter, food for multiple days, hygiene gear, spare clothing, etc. And if you've been on my blog and read much, that would be my three. I use the line system, and I've kind of broken it down. And so this would be line 3B, and line 3A, which is kind of just your essentials to get you through, say, the next 24 hours, is going to be in this main bag down here. Pull that off real quick. It's easier. This main bag down here. And that's just going to be things like rain gear, enough chow for the day, my water, and then any large kind of mission essential equipment. So my game bags are in there, and other game processing equipment are in there for hunting. But if you're in a more tactical context, that could be spare communications equipment, spare munitions, whatever the case may be. The pack bucket just clips on with these G-hooks. It's a great utility item. As you can see here, I've got a pair of trekking poles and my Wiser Precision third leg. And that is essentially my tripod for when I put those together. That's my spotting scope tripod. But obviously the trekking poles can be used as trekking poles. You can kind of see out here we've got some snow. We're actually having a very nice fall, so there's really not much snow and ice, but the trekking poles really come in handy for either mud or any slick surfaces. That's why I have those there. Also, if I have to pack out a game animal on the frame, the trekking poles are great. The line pocket, I just have it unclipped. It'll clip on this other side as well. Just with these G-hooks, it clips down right onto that strap. But I just have it unhooked so you can see easy enough. The line pocket itself is kind of an admin storage area for me. And I also store, when I don't have my bipod on, I store that and my rifle cleaning gear there. Because those are two items that I've found, your rifle cleaning gear, and I use the full steel rods, and stuff. And then in my rifle butt pack, I've got the appropriate bore brush for that caliber. But, you know, just like I was talking about slick surfaces, mud, I've seen lots of people during classes, and I've done it myself. You take a header, and next thing you know, you jam your muzzle in the ground, and you've got mud or ice or whatever gunked up in there. And so it's really nice to be able to just quickly do what you need to do to get that cleaned out. I've got my team leader book stored up here. Really just wanted to kind of, before I break all this down, at least kind of give an overview of what I've got going on here. You know, the nice part about this system, breaking down the 3A versus 3B, you know, 3A is that stuff that'll get you through the next 24 hours. You know, you're not planning on staying the night out, but should for some reason you have to, it's there. You've got all your mission essential stuff. You know, you might put your 3A in a day pack, where the 3B, that's going to be the stuff that you need to survive for multiple days, or at least to live somewhat comfortably for multiple days. You know, I think a classic example is, you know, your large sustainment ruck with all your sustainment gear, sleeping gear, etc. in it, and then having an assault pack bunging on top. Here I'm just taking a more efficient approach and having the capability to drop the heavier sustainment gear quickly. And the great part about this is, you know, sometimes when I was hunting, I went out with the intent to stay out long, you know, stay out overnight for multiple days. So this was everything I brought. For those days where maybe I just went out early in the morning and was just planning on hunting through the day and then headed back home at night, this stayed home and I just brought the rest of it. And so, real quick, you know, the 3B can be separated out very quickly just by popping these two buckles. This is great because it cuts the weight of my load nearly in half, but I still retain the ability to take care of myself and sustain myself for a minimum of 24 hours. You know, if I was going to base camp here tonight, but I didn't want to set up camp right away, I could definitely stash that, put my pack lid back on, and then tighten it back up. So it's that quick. Now I'm ready to head out for the day. I've got everything I need. All my optics, my spotting scope and stuff is up in this butt pack that's the lid. I've got water disinfection stuff with me. I've got enough chow for the day. I have enough layers and shelter equipment. Now by shelter equipment, I don't mean a tent or something like that. I don't even have a tarp. But what I have is my GI poncho, and that's a multifunctional piece of gear you can do a lot with to shelter yourself from the weather. Okay, guys. I'd planned on doing kind of a junk on the bunk setup, but the more I kind of played around with this, I thought you guys would actually appreciate seeing where I have the items stored on the pack as I unpack it. So I've already removed the trekking poles and third leg, got them out of the way. As I was saying, this line pocket normally would be riding right here. And what this does is it creates a chute that I can slide long items in. I can easily fit my rifle in there if I need to. Just flip that out of the way, slide this in. I would take these buckles, clip them over the sling in case for some reason, say I take a spill, just kind of want that extra security. And then I can bring this back over and reclip it. You know, that was kind of my plan. You know, things went differently than what I planned, but originally with my deer, I was going to quarter it and pack out, put it in game bags and pack it out on this frame. At that point, I essentially don't have much use for the rifle anymore. So I would have put it here and actually switched to my trekking poles to help me carry that heavier load. But that's all right. Things still work. Okay, so going back to the pack. You know, this Decker Packframe offers tons of versatility. I mean, it's almost overwhelming how much you can do with this thing. So at the top, if I undo these two buckles, the first thing I had was this bright orange panel. This is not a Hill People Gear piece of equipment. It doesn't normally come on these packs. It's actually for dogs. If you're out bird hunting or whatever, you can put it on your dog. But I thought it worked really good just to clip it on my pack so that I had some visual orange from behind me so nobody shoots me, hopefully. And now that hunting season's over, that'll come off. But inside the butt pack, the butt pack itself is a pretty ingenious design, super versatile. I'm not taking much advantage of its capabilities, to be honest. But this is actually where I store my spotting equipment, so it's easy to get to. I've got my Razor HD 11 to 33 spotter, and then up in here, I just clip them together. These little Velcro, you're gonna see me using a lot of these little Velcro, little one wrap straps. They come in handy for keeping a lot of stuff organized. My favorite use for them is to keep extra webbing intact or wrapped up when you're not using it. Absolutely love it for that. But I just keep these two strapped together so they don't jangle around too much. But this is just the camera adapter for my spotting scope, and then a bino adapter so I can put it on my tripod. And those just ride around up in that pocket. I would also store my filming equipment, my clip-on microphone, and other little stuff up in this pocket. And that's all I was using the butt pack for, which, like I said, is really not even tapping into its potential. Over on the Hill People Gear YouTube channel, they do a good job kind of explaining a lot of the features on that if you're interested. So moving down, opening up the top lid of the actual Decker pocket. It's got a nice heavy duty zipper. I love, everything with Hill People Gear stuff, it's heavy duty. And you're not getting, which is nice because you don't want a zipper to blow out when you're out here, What I failed to mention here is that while the materials and equipment are heavy duty, they're built very well and with an eye towards minimal amount of bulk and weight. And so in the top of my pack, I always keep my poncho so it's accessible. This is just a USGI poncho from Helicon. Very useful piece of gear. Probably out of all the gear I've used, this or the actual GI version of it have always been in my gear. I mean, that's number one piece of gear there. Next in this bag, I've actually got, it's the bag that comes with the Helicon Wolfhound jacket. And I've got my additional warming layers tucked in there. So I've got a blaze orange Carhartt beanie, a Kuiu merino wool neck gaiter, the Wolfhound jacket itself. And I love this jacket because it's very, very warm, but quite light. It's not a down jacket, which is, I personally don't really care for down that much. I need stuff that I can, you can see how this thing was packed. It wasn't, if you were to do that with a down jacket long term, you're going to reduce the loft in it, and you're paying a lot of money for that loft. So this is made with ClimaShield Apex, kind of a nice medium weight, definitely keep you warm. It's the same weight of ClimaShield Apex as in the Swagman roll, which I've used considerably and probably slept in temperatures way colder than it was designed to be slept in, with that and additional layers and a Mylar space blanket and stuff. So that's how I know that I could weather the night if this is all I had. And then got a pair of thermal glove liners because you got to keep your hands warm. And then a pair of Outdoor Research Gore-Tex glove shells because you've got to take care of your hands, because if your hands quit working, you're in a lot of trouble. So moving on, I got these, I always call them Gore-Tex gaiters. They're not Gore-Tex. They're like a nylon kind of material. There's a lady on Etsy that makes these down in Colorado. They're just boot gaiters. I really like them a lot. See, mine are pretty dirty. Not only do they help keep your boots and your pants a little cleaner when you're slopping through mud, but they actually keep your legs kind of warm and your feet warmer too, and help keep a lot of moisture off of them. In this gallon-sized Ziploc bag, this is just kind of, you know, if I'm just planning on being out for the day, I don't pack a whole meal. I'm just going to pack, you know, some Cliff bars, some Kind bars, maybe some sugary treat, kind of give me some extra sugar when I need it. And then I have these small, just a small container of peanut butter, lots of fat and protein there. So kind of just enough stuff to get you by. You know, you're not eating like a king, but you're keeping your energy up. That's the important part. In here is kind of a cheap titanium folding stove from Lixada, Lixada. It's just a little titanium flat stove you can kind of clip together. And these little twig stoves are great, especially in the wintertime, because they don't take much fuel. And you could have water boiling pretty quick with them. You don't have to worry about, you know, your fuel not working because it's cold like you would with like a jet boil or something. I started packing these later in the year, kind of once we started getting snow. And these are a pair of Catula K10 crampons. They just clip on your boots if you got them set up for them. And nice heavy duty crampons. I got these last winter and these things are beasts. You know, you can definitely tell by those spikes. You're gonna have lots of traction. But the nice thing is these are designed to work with any boots, not just specific mountaineering boots. Further in, I've got another gallon Ziploc with just a spare pair of socks, some wool blend socks, and a small container of foot powder. Here's another item similar to how another item that will always make it into my pack is just, you know, a nice big drum liner, heavy duty garbage bag. You know, it's so funny because I never packed this with like a specific purpose, like, oh, I'm going to use this for this. It's when you're out there and you just need something that these come in handy so often. So that always makes it in. Inside, down here's my emergency kit. So this is kind of riding in the bottom of the pack. Hopefully I never have to use it, but basically inside here, it's just an Altoids tin. I've taped up the edge so it's pretty much waterproof, and it's got a small ferro rod, a Bic lighter, and it's got a stick of fat wood, as well as a bunch of the Tinder Quick tabs. And then I've got it kind of held, you know, reinforced with this piece of inner tube, which is also useful for starting fires as well. I've got a small Ziploc baggie of cottonwood inner bark. I've actually double bagged it so it stays extra dry. So that way, if I need to, you know, I can start a fire with this stuff very easily with the ferro rod I always keep on my knife sheath. And just gives me that extra bit of material, dry material, so I can get a fire going if I need to, combined with the stuff in the Altoids tin. Got some spare signal gear in here. Got this little small air horn for signaling. And I've got some orange flagging tape. And then I've got the small Exotac 4-hour candle tin. And these work great. I'm not, you know, you can dry out tinder with these, of course. Just a little candle. But a lot of, you know, I don't have a tarp and a tent and all that stuff. To be honest, if I had to stay out here overnight, I'm not going to probably build a full shelter with a bed and all that. I'm probably just going to put on everything I have and put my poncho over the top, sit on my pack up out of the wind. And if I get really cold, you know, I can light this candle and just set it underneath down here between my legs, and it'll put off warmth that will be trapped by my poncho. They call that a scout fire. And then further down in, I just got some paracord and zip ties. These are basically kind of items that I call it a kill kit, but it's really not much. It's just some zip ties so I can put my tag on the animal, and then some extra paracord should I need it for hanging the game bags in a tree or whatever. And then these are the game bags themselves. They're the meat on bone ultralight game bags for mule deer from Caribou Gear. Didn't get to use them, but I've read that they work quite well. That's everything out of the main compartment. You can see it's just one big compartment there. And then on the side, there's this long, another big heavy-duty zipper. There's just one big pouch in here. It pretty much is that big. And I really like these small sil nylon drawstring bags. And this is where I kind of keep my small kits that I may need to, I don't want to have to unpack my pack, but I may want access to them. And this bigger black one, I use different colors for each purpose. And this is just my hygiene kit. So here's a small, what I consider a PFAC. Got some antiseptic wipes, Band-Aids, and a little mellow gel, just for cuts, scrapes on your hands. Small thing of bug repellent. Some Body Glide. It's like a small stick of deodorant, but you can use it on parts of your body if you're starting to chafe when you're hiking. Porta wipes. These are just small compressed towelettes. Soak them in a little water, and they turn into a heavy-duty paper towel. Dermatone. It's a sunscreen, but also helps protect your skin from the cold. And then also good old hand sanitizer for after you get done doing your business. A lot of how my philosophy on how I pack my pack. Some people definitely go just strictly, seems like strictly by weight. I kind of go more by function and how likely I am to need those items. And so less items that are going to be less likely to be needed will be further in the bottom versus items that I either want to be able to get to quickly for some reason or that I'll use quite often will be more towards the top. Next is my red bag here. This is my water kit. I did detail my kind of technique for water resupply, and I've got just some, that's an empty one, but lots of chlorine dioxide tablets and some mixture, different electrolyte mixes. We got Liquid IV, Pedialyte, Element. These are all different electrolyte mixes that I kind of like. And so once you have clean water, it's good to also be putting electrolytes back in your system, keeping that balance up. Next is this green bag here. This is like my kind of my tool and repair kit. I try not to get too wild. Duct tape stuck. The old Gorilla Tape. There we go. Okay. So within here, I've got a small 1-inch roll of Gorilla Tape, small roll of electrical tape, a battery caddy that holds 6 AAA batteries, which is what my headlamp uses. So I've got lithium batteries in there because they last longer in the cold. I've got a few spare batteries, lithiums for my rangefinder as well. And that's all for battery powered equipment that I have. Inside my 3B gear, I do have a small battery bank. And then I've also got another Exotac candle tin. This isn't a, you got to keep the context in mind here. This is just for deer hunting, not out to practice survival or do anything with this gear. So, although a lot of this gear would carry over in that situation. Down here in this side wand pouch, I've got my 32-ounce Pathfinder stainless steel water bottle. This bottle and this bottle, I would only fill them up for overnight trips. There was no need for me to carry on all that extra water weight. I'm just going to be out for a day. You know, like I said, for all the areas that I was hunting, I know where to get water out here if I need to. And so that's why I still brought this empty, because I can put water in it, use my tablets to disinfect it, or, you know, I can melt snow in this. I can boil water in this, which is another heat source for me to put in next to my core, keep myself warm at night if need be. And then my Baco Laplander saw. And one trick or piece of advice I'll give, the writing's pretty well gone on this saw, but this has a different blade than your standard Laplander comes with. And this has what they call the 396 JT blade, which is a pull cutting blade. JT stands for Japanese tooth. And there's a lot of, I prefer this blade. It is a lot easier once you get used to it to cut through things. So, you know, the silky saws, that's kind of why they're famous, is they all come with that pull cutting blade, and they're good saws too. I just prefer the tougher durability of the Baco versus the silky, and I would have to compare, I'd have to measure, but I think it seems like most of the silkies I've handled are a little heavier than my Baco, you know, for equivalent size. And then over here I've got a 1 liter Hunersdorf bottle. Hunersdorf bottles are nice. They're high density polyethylene, so it's very tough, very flexible in the cold still. And these have this nice big easy cap to get off in the cold, and the threads don't freeze up as easy in the cold either. And then inside here, you know, nested with that bottle is just a 650 milliliter titanium cup. It's also made by that Lixada company. And then wrapped up inside this bandana, and my water disinfection video, I had an orange bandana. That orange bandana, it had a few wear holes in it back then, and I actually used that to clean up my hands after I got done gutting my deer that night. So I threw that away, and I've got this one in here just because it's the only one I had on hand. I didn't have another orange one where I would throw that in. But inside here's a Vargo titanium digging tool. And I always like to have some way of digging. I know you can make a digging stick if you have the resources available, but this thing's pretty light. And for the kind of digging that I would need to do, which would be basically none, you know, maybe digging a cat hole when I'm using the bathroom if need be, or another reason is it gives me a tool I can use to gather up grasses and stuff if I were, say, needing to make a shelter or something, you know, like a browse bed. All right, guys, I think this is where I'm going to call this video good. I'm going to go ahead and make part 2. I just want to thank you again for watching, and have a great day.